Meeting called to order at 7 p.m. Call the roll.
Trustee Haig,
Here.
Trustee Hall,
Here.
Trustee McCurdy,
Here.
Trustee Pini,
Here.
Trustee Charno,
Here.
Trustee Wengels, President Kubiak.
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum.
Okay. All right. Tonight under public comments, we have Terry Knapp. Terry, if you could step to the podium and state your name and address.
My name is Terry Knapp. I live at 1771 Francis Drive in Carillon and Pingree Grove. And I'm here representing the D300 Food Pantry. The D300 Food Pantry is 100% donation driven and volunteer run. We serve all of the students, all the families in D300. To be eligible, we don't ask any financial questions. They just have to have a child in the household, or they have to be employees of D300 or the Durham Bus Company, Organic Life, which provides the food. The majority of our clients come from the east part where there's high poverty Carpentersville area, but of course we do reach out to as far west as Hampshire. And we're starting to see a lot more families coming from Gilbert's, Pingree Grove, and Hampshire, because as you know, the prices of food has gone up and people are losing their jobs. There's just a lot of issues. 6 years ago, when I first started volunteering, we had about 80 shoppers a week, and now we're up to 200. And we've increased it from 1 shopping night to 2 shopping nights a week. We're located behind Carpentersville Middle School in the very back area. Several years ago, people decided there was a need there, and they took the old shop classroom, and they converted it into a food pantry, and that's where we do it. It's quite a challenge because we have very limited space. A lot of clients tell me, I never thought I'd have to come to a food pantry. I just never thought I'd be here. And we say, well, that's why we're here. It just takes one incident, one changing incident. And you drive around Pingree Grove and you think, it looks really nice here. Nice houses, nice cars, the lawns are kept up. But you just don't know. It takes one health issue, someone loses a job, something happens, you just don't know. All of a sudden you're in a situation where are you going to buy food? Or are you going to get braces for your kid, whatever? And you want to have some money in savings. So that's why we're there. You just never know. And I felt it when I go to the grocery store now that it's crazy how much money I'm spending for just some basic things. We get our food from the Northern Illinois Food Bank, which is also experiencing some budget cuts. We have a program called Direct Connect where we get food from Aldi, Jewel, and Sam's Club. And we have drivers that go out and pick that up. We get bread from Bimbo Bread, and we also get produce from Smart Farm, Organic Farm, which is by Good Shepherd Hospital in Barrington. That's seasonal, of course. The challenge for us is storage space and availability of product. And there's a lot of inconsistencies. We've been seeing a lot with Northern Illinois Food Bank that the products that we need, the basic foods, are just not available anymore. And there's the challenge of storage as well. So this week, if we see that we can get flour, and maybe we couldn't get it for a couple of weeks, do we have a place to store it? So that's a challenge as well. We're facing a problem with trying to get enough protein. We want to focus on nutrition and not just provide canned goods and snacks. We want good protein sources, and we want fresh fruits and vegetables for our families. So that's a challenge as well. We never know what we're going to receive from our drivers when they go to pick up food, so we just get what we get. And it's a challenge. For a while there, we couldn't get canned corn. Now lately, we're having trouble getting cereal. So it's crazy. But I have been reaching out to the residents of Pingree Grove, Carillon, and Cambridge Lakes. I post online all the time, and people are so helpful. They drop off food in my front door all the time. That's really helped a lot. Our produce in the wintertime is very limited, so that's a challenge as well. Another challenge is getting volunteers. We have 2 or 3 stocking the shelves, unloading the trucks on nights and days, shifts per week. So we have 2 shopping nights. And if we don't have volunteers, it makes it really difficult. Okay, last year, you guys were great, and you nominated us for the Canadian Pacific Kansas City Railroad, and boy, that was amazing. That big check, the food that came in on that day, plus the donations, plus the donation from Flood Brothers. And for every dollar that we receive, we can buy $8 worth of food from the Northern Illinois Food Bank. So that's some big shopping power right there. Besides food, we also give out diapers. We have a contract with Keeping Families Covered. We give out hygiene items, and that is another challenge as well. Right now, I'm collecting coats. I just dropped off a bin at the police department today. I had talked with Chief Harris earlier, and he gave me permission to drop that off. We also have a bin there to collect food. We just finished up this summer our back to school event, and we had a huge collection. We provided backpacks and school supplies to almost 400 children. I'm doing coats right now. Last year I gave out 600 coats, and I need coats. So if anybody has coats, have to be washable. I left a couple of my cards there with Amber, so contact me. We're going to be starting our holiday gift collection. We have a big, huge shopping event where the parents come and pick out gifts for their children. That's in December. Since we don't have room at our pantry, we have an outreach center, which is at 21 North Washington Street in Carpentersville. It's the old Dundee Library building, and it's a really cool old building. So that's where we keep all our extra stuff. We reach out a lot with community partners. Girl Scout Troop 650, which is Pingree Grove, has been helping us quite a bit with all kinds of crafts and donations, and they're just lovely. We're going to be here in the neighborhood at the Harvest Fest at the charter school and also at the Carillon Trunk or Treat on the 18th. We're out in the community all the time. And also, I do emergency food drop-offs. I know this isn't close to the food pantry. I drive between here and Carpentersville all the time. I put a lot of miles on my car. So if you ever know of anyone, reach out to me. I'd be glad to provide emergency food to them, to connect them with how to register and how to set up an appointment for shopping. On our 2 shopping nights, we have one by appointment only, and the other one we take walk-ups. So please reach out to me if you know of anyone in need. And thank you so much for letting me talk tonight. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. Okay, next we're going to move into special presentations. First, we have the proclamation for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Whereas October is National Breast Cancer Awareness Month, an annual month-long campaign aimed at educating people and fighting this life-threatening disease, which affects 1 in 8 women in the United States every year and 2.3 million women worldwide. And whereas during National Breast Cancer Awareness Month, we recognize all those who know the anguish of breast cancer, and we redouble our efforts to improve care and bring attention to this disease. The heartache and the pain of this disease will touch too many of our mothers, fathers, daughters, and sisters, and too many families will bear these burdens. And whereas when breast cancer is caught early, treatments work best and survival rates increase. That is why all women and men should be familiar with the risk factors and symptoms of this disease. We encourage everyone to speak with their healthcare provider about the risk of breast cancer and the importance of screenings that play an essential role in early detection. Today, more Americans are surviving breast cancer than ever before, but there is still more work to do. And whereas, thanks to the increasing knowledge in the biological and medical sciences, there is an ever-growing awareness of this deadly disease, and that learning about early detection and teaching early detection to those we love is one of the best forms of protection. And whereas this month, as we honor those lost to breast cancer, let us join with the loved ones who celebrate their memory and the patients who battle this disease every day, as well as our nation's advocates, medical researchers, and healthcare providers. And now, therefore, be it proclaimed that I, Amber Kubiak, President of the Village of Pingree Grove, Kane County, Illinois, do hereby proclaim October 2025 to be National Breast Cancer Awareness Month and urge all residents to increase their knowledge about breast cancer and join in the fight to eradicate this disease. And in recognition, the Village Municipal Center will be illuminated in pink until the end of the month. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the Village of Pingree Grove, Kane County, Illinois, to be affixed on the 6th day of October in the year of 2025.
Also in honor of that, the police department will now be showing pink police patches on our shoulders for the month of October in reference to the National Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Pink patches will be able to be purchased at the Pingree Grove Police Department until while supplies last. where a portion of the sales will go back to a National Breast Cancer Awareness Foundation. So we are very pleased and honored that we can do this along with many other law enforcement agencies in the state.
Thank you, Chief. Okay, next up, we are going to do an audit presentation by Joe Ladont, Lauterbach and Amen LLP.
Good evening, everyone. As introduced, my name is Joe Loudon. I'm here on Lauterbach and Amen's behalf tonight to present to you your fiscal year 2025 annual comprehensive financial report. I'd like to start this evening by thanking Albert and the rest of the team. It's no easy task getting to the end of an audit cycle, so we appreciate all their hard work, time, and patience to get us to the point where we're at this evening. Tonight, I'll be presenting to you 3 required pieces of communication by the state of Illinois. The first of those 3 is going to be the village's SAS 114 letter. The SAS 114 letter is issued in accordance with Auditing Standard 114, in which we are required to disclose any disagreements that occurred with management during the course of the audit process. Happy to summarize this document for you and state that we did not have any disagreements this year. Following that, I'll get into the annual comprehensive financial report. That's going to be the largest document you have, the bound document. I want to preface that this document, as you're aware, is not a page turner by any means, so I will keep things pretty brief and high level this evening and hit on a few key areas. The first page I'd like to highlight is page 7. Page 7 is going to be your Certificate of Achievement Award for fiscal year 2024. I want to recognize that the village has been receiving this award since 2008. This award takes a little bit of additional effort by your team. It involves putting together a statistical section. It involves putting together the transmittal letter that preludes it. And once again, it's an award that is issued with financial excellency for the village. So once again, we want to appreciate all the hard work that Albert and the rest of the team has put into these financial statements and congratulate them on another award year. We did work with the village again for fiscal year 25 to submit that, and we'll be looking forward to in the next calendar year receiving the fiscal year 25 award. Following that, if I could have everybody turn to page 10. Page 10 is going to start your independent auditor's report. This part of the report has a few different purposes. The first of those 3 is to discuss what management's responsibility is as it relates to the financial statements, which is to prepare them. The next thing it does is discuss what the auditor's responsibility is, which is to generate an opinion on those financial statements. The last thing it does is generate your opinion for fiscal year 25, which is unmodified, and this is the cleanest and highest form of assurance that we can provide to the village. Following that, you'll find the management's discussion and analysis starting on page 14. I highly recommend spending the majority of your time here, as the management's discussion and analysis does a great job of summarizing the financial statements that follow it. It's just a little bit easier of a read than the financial statements. Has some nice charts and graphs in there that just are a little bit easier to read. After the management's discussion and analysis, I'll hit on a few key areas in the financial statements. If everybody could turn to page 29. Page 29 starts your statement of activities, or otherwise known as your government-wide income statement. On page 30, you'll find in the far left column for governmental activities, 3rd line from the bottom, you'll find your overall change in governmental activities of a positive 1.2 million this year. And then your business type activities in the column next to it, an increase of approximately 4.9 million this year. Next, can everybody turn to page 35? Page 35 is your statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance for your governmental funds, or otherwise known as your governmental fund income statement. And starting in the left column in the general fund, 3rd line from the bottom, I'll briefly go through each of these changes in fund balance. The general fund had an increase of 1.3 million this year. Your motor fuel tax had a slight decrease of 2,300 this year. Debt service increase of 6,200. Capital improvement decrease of 497,000. SSA number 2 increase of 1,000. SSA number 7 decrease of 5,000. And then your cumulative non-major had a total increase of 892,000 this year. Next would be page 41. And this is going to be your statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in fund balance for your proprietary funds. So you'll note that the water fund at the third line from the bottom had an increase in net position of approximately 4.9 million this year. After the financial statements, you'll find the notes to the financial statements. I'll briefly go through each one of the notes. Note 1 is going to hold your summary of significant accounting policies. Note 2 will hold all your budgetary information. Note 3 will hold deposits, capital assets, and any long-term debt information. And note 4 is going to be all of your other information, which does include IMRF and the police pension fund actuarial information. And then after the notes to the financial statements, you'll find some additional supplemental information as well as the budget to actual and your statistical section. I won't spend any time on those this evening, but happy to answer any questions that you might have. And then the last document I'm going to be presenting on this evening is going to be the village's management letter. If you turn a couple pages in, you'll note the only management letter comments this year are related to 3 upcoming GASB standards. The first one being GASB number 102 that has an implementation year of April 30th, 2025. GASB number 103 for April 30th, 2027. And then GASB number 104 for April 30th, 2027 as well. And when those do come to term, we will work with the village to determine if implementation does apply, and we'll work alongside Albert and the rest of the team to determine implementation standards. That'll conclude my portion of the presentation this evening. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have now. And as I mentioned to Albert, my email is always open in case anybody else has any additional questions.
Does anyone have any questions for Joe? Okay, thank you so much.
So thank you.
And I, excuse me,
Yes, Albert.
I just want to add that this exciting report will be a copy at the front desk and it'll be posted tomorrow on the website in case anybody wants to inspect and take a look at it and have fun reading it like we all do. So thank you, Joe.
Okay, moving on, we are going to have the police commission swearing in ceremony for patrol officer Meher Ayad.
Good evening. The Police Department and the Board of Police Commissioners approved the hiring of full-time police officer Mahir Ayad to fill an open vacancy. Officer Ayad graduated from the Suburban Law Enforcement Academy in August of 2024 after being hired by the Darien Police Department. He applied as a full-time police officer position with the Village of Pingree Grove in July of 2025. He's begun a 16-week field training program and he's supported tonight by his family to start his new career. We would like to welcome him to the Pingree Grove Police Department and wish him the best of luck. Unfortunately, the police commissioners were not available, so we will be sworn in tonight by village clerk.
I state your name.
I, Mahir Ayad,
Do solemnly swear that I will support and comply with the Constitution of the United States of America,
do solemnly swear that I will support and comply with the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Illinois,
the Constitution, laws of the state of Illinois,
the charter, laws, and ordinances of the Village of Pingree Grove,
the charter, laws, and ordinances of those of Pingree Grove,
the rules and regulations of the Pingree Grove Police Department,
the rules and regulations of the Pingree Grove Police Department,
and the Law Enforcement Code of Ethics,
and the law enforcement code of ethics,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office as a police officer to the best of my ability.
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office as a police officer to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Can I get a motion to call for recess?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Call the roll?
Trustee Tarnow,
Yes.
trustee Wangles, I'm sorry, trustee McCurdy,
Yes.
Trustee Haig,
Yes.
trustee Hall,
Yes.
trustee Penny.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Okay, we'll take a short recess. Can I get a motion to return from recess?
So moved. I'll second.
Call the roll.
Trustee Penny,
Yes.
trustee Hall,
Yes.
trustee Haig,
Yes.
trustee McCurdy.
Yes.
Trustee Tarno.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Okay, next we'll move into the consent agenda. Tonight on the consent agenda, we have the approval of the annual comprehensive financial report for the period ending April 30th, 2025. The approval of minutes from the September 15th, 2025 Village Board meeting. The approval of the warrant list for October 6th, 2025 in the amount of $6,150,577.70. And the fiscal year 2026 police pension interfund transfer of $284,910. Is there any discussion? If not, can I get a motion?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Call the roll.
Trustee Tarno.
Yes.
Trustee McCurdy.
Yes.
Trustee Haig.
Yes.
Trustee Hall.
Yes.
Trustee Pini.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
All right, moving into items for separate action. Item A is the consideration and approval of a professional services agreement with Fair Graham and Associates for preliminary site investigation and land acquisition services related to the Rhine King and Damish Road Roundabout project in an amount not to exceed $92,375. Andy?
Yes. All right, so this is a proposal that covers a couple of different things, all related to the Rhine King Road and Damish Roundabout project. The first is preliminary site investigation, or PSI. This is to identify and evaluate environmental issues that have been identified as part of the phase one engineering that has already occurred. In particular, two properties, the storage yard and the railroad property right near the roundabout, were identified as potential recognized environmental conditions, which because of that means we now have to do this PSI report for IDOT, basically demonstrating that there's soil samples, testing of the material in the dirts to identify if there are hazards, if there's hazardous waste there. Also coming up with a plan that can be approved by IDOT for if during construction hazardous material is identified, how it will be disposed of in a way that is safe for the workers and the public. The other aspect of this proposal is land acquisition survey work. So this is survey work for all the different properties that need to be either acquired permanently for permanent easement, permanent ownership, or temporary easement as part of the construction process. In February of 24, the village approved phase one engineering in order to keep things moving along with IDOT. As we all know, it is painfully slow working with the state through these procedures, which are required because we are receiving federal funding for the project. Since February of 24 up until essentially August of this year, when we finally got phase one approval from IDOT, the identified parcels and properties for acquisition grew from 11 to 14. And so this proposal here is to cover that expansion in the survey work required. And I will also mention this is not just fees to pay for the survey work to go out there, for Fair Graham to go out there and mark the maps, draw up the plats of highway which need to be submitted. This is also covering the coordination with IDOT, which is probably the most time consuming part of it all. The back and forth, the review with them, the constant badgering of them to try to get them to respond. So that's what is covered in this proposal. The final smallest section of this proposal is a environmental site assessment for the storage yard property. This is the property that we're going to need to purchase the most amount of land from in order to facilitate the construction of the project. And so this is a environmental assessment for the entirety of that property to identify if there are issues relevant to the project or the village as a whole. With that, can open up to any questions. This is, as far as where we're at with the Rhine King and Damish project, right now, this survey work is in motion. It's been in motion. Fair Graham and staff have been in consultation with IDOT, submitting what's right now called plats of highways, which is basically a lot of this survey work for the specific right-of-way and project scope. There's been review back and forth with IDOT on that, it's always progress when they actually respond and review it. And so we are continuing to move forward with that. Our hope is that in the next couple of weeks, we'll get final plans of highway approval. And then once that is done, the village needs to perform that preliminary site investigation, that PSI, the first portion of this. And once the plats are done at the same time as the PSI, we can then authorize the appraisal services firm that we recruited earlier this year to go ahead and do the appraisal work. So the appraisal work and the PSI can happen at the same time, with the goal of getting that completed around the end of this calendar year, so that we can send letters out to the different property owners in the beginning of the next calendar year, with offers to purchase their property or easement, whatever it may be. With that, staff's recommending approval, but open to obviously take any questions. Yeah.
If they do find any hazardous material or that, whose cost is that to remove it?
It would be ours. It would be ours. Yeah.
Even the railroad part?
I mean, to a degree, it would depend upon how much, but especially with the way the railroad is and the way the protections that they have, it very likely the cost would come to us. But I mean, so I suppose if, and we're not expecting this, but say there's some massive dump of material or something like that, then we would probably look to pursue what we could from the railroad through the avenues of the state, but that's not expected, but it's not impossible.
And what about the junkyard? Would we know that before we purchase that property?
Yes, that's kind of the reasoning of not only the PSI, but that third portion, the environmental assessment, to survey the entire property to see if there is any records. Because essentially a phase one environmental is a survey of records and then an inspection to identify if there's things that have come up in the past that, so it's not 100% that it's going to find everything, but by doing it, it does protect the village for if an issue were to arise, we could apply for funding if need be, green site cleanup, and we can demonstrate the village didn't pollute this. You should give us funding, the state or federal government, to help us clean up. Seth, anything I left out on that?
No, that's exactly right. So the PSI will actually go out and take samples. And so essentially what that will do is allow for pay items to be created. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to find hazardous waste. It doesn't mean you're going to find non-special or special waste. It gives the village an idea of how much you might find. And it's also a good way, for protection of liability to the village, but then also understand cost implications that could come along with the environmental components of the project. But you summed it up perfectly. The only thing I was going to add was that it went from 3 parcels to 14, so it was an increase of 11
for the land survey work. Yeah.
So if I'm hearing this right, the contaminants probably came from the railroad, or?
most likely.
And to be clear, right now, there's not an identification of there are for a fact contaminants. It's
Okay.
the railroad and the storage yard, because of their past use, and this is any time with the railroad,
Uh-huh.
because of their past uses, it triggers the requirements of this to be done.
Okay.
It's
so-
not like we don't know right now if there's pollution.
Right.
Yeah.
So if there is, it's probably from the railroad, and everybody but the railroad has to pay for it. Is that what I got?
Yes.
That makes perfect sense. Okay.
There are no other questions. Can I get a motion?
Yeah, I move to approve a professional service agreement with Fair Graham and Associates for design, engineering, and construction engineering for the 2026, is this the right one?
You got the next one. Yeah.
I move to approve a professional service agreement with Fair Graham and Associates for preliminary site investigation, PSI work and land acquisition services in the amount not to exceed $92,375.
Second.
Call the roll.
Trustee Turno,
Yes.
trustee Hall,
Yes.
trustee Hague,
Yes.
trustee Pini,
Yes.
trustee McCurdy.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
All right, Item B is the consideration and approval of a professional services agreement with Fairgram and Associates for design engineering and construction engineering for the 2026 streets program in an amount not to exceed $77,600. Andy?
Yes, so this is for next year's streets program. We typically refer to it as our MFT program. However, this year we're looking to do things a little bit differently to not utilize MFT funds for the project. The purpose behind that is to avoid having to go through IDOT for approvals so that we can do it more efficiently. The other kind of factors that tie into that is we're looking to do a smaller program than we have in years past. This is for a couple of reasons. One, we've been very aggressive in the last couple of years, especially last year in the resurfacing of neighborhoods throughout the community. And where we're at right now is there's a couple of streets. We know parts of Rhine King Road, we know parts of Thurnau Road are getting in worse condition, but they're not quite yet at the point where we need to resurface them. And the thought process is by focusing on things in this proposal like the pavement rejuvenator work for the neighborhoods that have been done, various patching of the street, as well as curb and gutter and sidewalk through the village, as well as some preventative maintenance to the multi-use path system, which is a topic of conversation that we had with the board in the past. That we can focus on those priorities while at the same time saving up, building up some MFT funds, which are going to be needed in future years, not only for the road resurfacing program, but to help fund the costs that are going to be associated when we do finally get to the Rhine King Damish roundabout project, as well as other capital projects. The other significant one of note is the multi-use path along Route 72. We're also need to try to save up a little bit of funds for that. And then the other factor to this is at the same time that we're going to be working with Fairgram to come up with this proposal for the program next year, we are working with CMAP, which is actually the next item on the agenda, on a pavement management plan for the next 5 years. Right now, actually, their consultant is going around the village scanning the different roads that will be put into a plan. Every road will be indexed. I think it's from 1 to 10 on the condition, and that can help prioritize future planning. So while we're coming up with the future planning for road resurfacing, while we're trying to save up funds for these big projects that we know are coming, the recommendation is to go with the somewhat scaled back program. And I'll also mention the final, and this is a very exciting component to this, is to finally do the railroad street parking lot in the Heritage District. This is something that most of the design costs have already been paid for as part of last year's program. It was something pulled from that program because of prolonged negotiations with the railroad regarding liability insurance and other items, which, knock on wood, we are pretty optimistic that we will actually be able to bring a completed agreement on that to the board within the next month, barring any unforeseen circumstances with the railroad. But we're feeling pretty optimistic about it. It's been a long time coming. So that would be the final component to this project, as well as to do that parking lot, which would include fencing and screening and landscaping along with the parking stalls on Railroad Street. With that, Pat, Seth, anything you think I might have left out? Are there any questions from the board?
If there are no questions, can I get a motion?
I move to approve a professional service agreement with Fairgram and Associates for design, engineering, and construction engineering for the 2026 streets program in an amount not to exceed $77,600.
Second.
Call the roll.
Trustee McCurdy,
Yes.
trustee Pini,
Yes.
trustee Tarno,
Yes.
trustee Hague,
Yes.
trustee Hall.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Okay, item C is the consideration and approval of a resolution authorizing an IGA with Chicago Metropolitan Agency for planning for a pavement condition assessment grant. Andy?
Yes, so as I mentioned, the village's pavement management plan that we have used to inform our decision-making over the last 5 years as far as road resurfacing, that has come to term after 5 years because the village received this grant prior in 2019, 2020. We reapplied for that grant this year and we were awarded it. And so the process includes a consultant surveying every street within the village with a special truck that has a camera on the back of it. And then they will use they're essentially their software technology that analyzes these roads to index the roads, give them a grade, and help the village come up with a 5-year maintenance plan, depending upon what our budget is, what factors, resources we have available to target the resurfacing or preventative maintenance in other ways like rejuvenation for those roads. Right now, the consultant's truck is out doing those surveys. The idea is that we will get the preliminary data from their analysis this winter. And then they would like to come to the village board in the spring/early summer to give us a final report, a presentation. As part of this process, the village has to pass an IGA with CMAP, which is the Chicago Metropolitan Area for Planning, to be a part of this grant. The overall cost for this service from the consultant is $40,000. Because of the grant, the village's portion is only $3,000. So we're happy to receive the grant, happy that we'll have a nice, organized plan from the consultant again, similar to the one that we have already. And with that, happy to take any questions.
So we're not getting the results until the summer?
Next spring, yeah. We'll get a lot of the data this winter, but the actual report presentation will come in the spring.
Okay.
As part of this, can they also go through the streets in Carolina?
It is only for public roads, the grant for CMAP.
Public, I mean, just
So only,
not 72 or 20 or.
yep, it's only gonna be village-owned roads. Yep.
And they're going over all the roads we've done in the last few years.
They're gonna go every single road in the village.
So if those weren't done correctly, would that show up on this?
Some of it, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Right, if there's no further questions, can I get a motion?
I move to approve a resolution to accept technical assistance services delivered by the Chicago Metropolitan Agency for Planning through an intergovernmental agreement.
Second.
Call the roll.
Trustee Haig,
Yes.
trustee Hall,
Yes.
trustee Charno,
Yes.
trustee Pini,
Yes.
trustee McCurdy.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Okay, we're gonna move into reports. I only have a couple things. Andy, myself, and Michael will be meeting with Troutman and Doms tomorrow to go over the commercial development at 72 and 47. So we'll keep everybody updated on how that meeting goes. The other thing I wanted to mention is Andy and I are targeting to do town hall meetings in November. So we'll let you guys know of the dates. We'd love for as many of the trustees to be there as possible. That's all I have. Andy?
No report.
Chief?
As stated in my weekly report, the police department is diligently looking to hire some people to fill some open vacancies. And with luck, I'll bring in a few more with me toward the end of this year to hopefully do that. We appreciate your support and your patience as we go through the long process.
Thank you. Albert, do you have?
I do not have any.
Okay. Nick?
Just a brief update for the board on 2 developments going throughout town. Been working with the property owners over at the Old Oaks development on Reinking and 72. Things are going smoothly over there. They anticipate that they will be doing their submittal to IDOT here in very short order, as well as anticipate that they will be able to do submittals to the village come December or January of this year, which is good. And then as for the self-storage development, similarly, been having a lot of back and forth with that developer. They're making their way down their initial submittal checklist, so I anticipate that they will come with a formal submittal here as well within the coming weeks. That is all.
All right. Thank you. Pat?
The water plant roof was started today. They got the entire roof stripped off. There was probably 30, 40 sheets of plywood that were replaced, rotten from where the roof was starting to fail. All the plywood's back on, and if you saw when you came in, if it was light, it's tarped or paper's down now, and the shingles are on site. They'll roof it tomorrow. They were pulling the well today, and the rain cut them a little bit short, but they'll continue pulling the well. Gateway signs, the design has been approved, and we're on track for November installation on the gateway signs, unless something happens that they haven't told me about yet, but, that's the latest and greatest. Irrigation system's getting shut down Monday of next week. I still don't have a date on finishing the water tower yet. I emailed the guy last week and have not heard back since. But with the delay, they've offered us a credit of about 10% of the bill, which amounts to about $1,000 for the unacceptable delay. That's all I have.
All right, thank you, Pat. Seth, do you have anything for us tonight?
Yeah, I'll just give you a quick update on the waste plant, a little bit more detail. The, most of the progress that you'll see out there is the sludge storage shed, is complete. And, they're beginning to, work on the pump station, influent pump station. The, sludge press that we talked about at the last meeting is now installed and the electricians are continuing to wire that all up. Process piping, HVAC equipment, electrical conduits are all going in at the preliminary and primary treatment building. Pretty much done at the electrical building for now. The aerobic digester is having some safety railings installed, secondary clarifiers, electrical work. Gravity thickener is installing the dome, installing the roof and ceiling on structure 50, which is the existing tertiary treatment building where the sand filter used to be. And the weir plate is going into the effluent flume. Good, so that wires can be pulled and that work can all proceed through the winter months. No pay application additional was recommended, but there will be one at the next meeting. And they're looking to start up some of the equipment in the sludge press building starting in November to start commissioning.
Good news, thank you. Michael, do you have anything for us?
None, unless any of the board members have any questions for me.
Okay, Laura, do you have anything?
Nothing, thank you.
Okay. Does anyone have any old or new business they'd like to discuss?
I have a question. The sign on Ranking Road for the roundabout, is that ours or IDOT's or who owns that one? That says we're closing 825. It's still up, still going,
It's IDOT.
kind of ridiculous.
Yep, IDOT and Elgin, yep. Which the latest on that is they continue to work through utility conflicts. They still do intend to do some work this year. But they continue to work through the utility conflicts.
Can we change 825 to sometime this year?
I'll note that to them again. I have brought that up with them.
Okay, if there's nothing else, can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Call the roll.
Trustee Pini,
Yes.
trustee Hall,
Yes.
trustee Hague,
Yes.
trustee Turno,
Yes.
trustee McCurdy.
Yes.
Your motion carries.